Hi again everyone, thanks for tuning in. Before I start, I just want to say this is still a photography channel, because I say that because I'm going to diverge a little bit in a second, but bear with me. You'll see how it all relates a little bit later on. By the way, I'm here at another one of the famous southeast locations. This is Dovercourt, and the lighthouse is there. There's two of them. There's one here, there's one over there. These were built, I think I read, these were built in 1873, redone in 1980 something, re-put together, and they just set out. There's a high lighthouse and a low lighthouse, low lighthouse. And they just sit on the promontory here. This is a really easy shoot to do. If you're not really mobile, then this is a perfect place for you to come and do some long exposure photography. It's not going to take me long to do this. Got a lovely foggy day today, very misty, which gives me lovely separation from the background. So a pretty straightforward shoot. But I wanted to talk about this vlog in as much as it's an unusual one, because I usually have 3 or 4 vlogs queued up, ready to upload in case things happen, in case I get ill or I'm on holiday or that kind of stuff, and I've still got a few lined up. But this one I'm going to shoot, today's Wednesday, you're going to see it for the first time on Sunday, so it's a very, very quick turnover for me. But those things have actually happened to me, and I want to talk a little bit about that, because we've been away, my wife and I, and life for me is about spending time with my family and my wife in particular, and those are what make life great. And we've had to say, really sadly, goodbye to my Cocker Spaniel Archie just 2 days ago, and that's been really tough. And I kind of didn't really feel like taking pictures and vlogging, and you kind of get to that stage, you're like, oh, what's the point? He's been a lovely, I mean, he's the first pet that we've had. We've been very lucky in our family in as much as we haven't come across any grief. We haven't lost loved ones, and my mum and dad are still going strong. Watching this video, almost certainly, my wife's mum and dad still going strong. So we haven't had to grieve in our family, and that's really, really good. But we've got an autistic daughter who loved that dog probably more than she loved us, I guess, and it's been very, very difficult trying to prepare her for what was about to come, and she's been sobbing uncontrollably ever since. And it's interesting with things like that, because what I found yesterday, and this is where I'm going to come back to it, so bear with me. Yesterday I felt myself relieved of the burden of having to put my dog to sleep, and I kind of almost looked at the world with fresh eyes. What am I going to do? You know, at some point we are all going to pass away, and that's a really morbid thing to say, but I think the important thing about life is that you go out and enjoy it. And how it relates to photography is that in the photography industry, and I would regard myself as being in the photography industry, I mean, I'm a semi-professional, I do sell prints and do these vlogs and stuff. So in this industry there has been lots of talk, lots of kind of, I wouldn't say upset, but worry, I'd say is probably a stronger, better word, about something called mid-journey. I'm going to jump in here because I then went on to try unsuccessfully to describe something called Mid-Journey and Adobe Firefly, and these are basically AI software, so artificial intelligence software where you type in what you want out of a photograph and it creates it for you, which is all quite amazing. Early days, but let me just show you what I mean. So this is called Mid-Journey. And look at this. So the prompt is up here. These are all the things that have been written in. You get 4 versions which you can upscale. So look at this. I mean, that's a little bit cartoon-like. Pretty good, but look at this. What's this? Look at that. And this guy looks like he's only got 3 fingers, but
I don't know what's happened to that thumb, but wow. Isn't that impressive? And the prompt for that is that. Amazing. And this is Adobe Firefly. Seems to be on a computer near you. So these are the prompts. And all of this stuff comes from stock imagery. Look. Wow. Look at what it does. You can even select a bit of it and make a choice. You wouldn't need a graphic designer for this necessarily. I would argue that you do, but amazing things that you can do now. It even does video, look. Wow.
A friend of mine on Twitter, Richard Fox, I think it was, put in long exposure, black and white, fine art photography, and the results were amazing. At the moment, you can't print them out very well. The resolution isn't anywhere near good enough. Some of the human figures have 6 fingers, too many teeth. So it certainly needs some refining, but it's certainly very impressive. There are other bits of software out there, and Adobe, who make Lightroom and Photoshop, which I use a lot, I've just signed myself up for the beta of something called Firefly, which looks equally awesome. And I think, therefore, people have been thinking maybe this is the death of photography. And I definitely think it'll have an effect, probably on the library stuff, because you can type in whatever you want now and it's produced for you. So why go to a library? However, I think photography, there's a little bit of hope, okay? I think photography is 3 things. It's the images in whatever form they take. They could be digital, could be prints. There is the creative process, and I think when you pay for a photographer, you're paying for their photographic eye, their composition, their kind of craft, if you like, which I've honed over many years, as most of my friends have in the industry. And so you're paying for that, and you're paying for an interpretation, if you like, a kind of custom-made product. So that's one thing. The other thing that photography, or there are 2 things. The other thing that I think photography is really important, and this is what brings me back to yesterday, is when I was grieving for my dog and feeling guilty, which I don't need to because he was very old and suffering. What am I going to do with my life? Do things that you enjoy. And I enjoy, and loads of you enjoy, photographing stuff. You know, you could say, why do we do it? I don't. I mean, whether I'm going to sell this picture, I don't know. There's thousands of people have shot it before me, probably better. But the actual process for me of photographing, coming here today, getting the camera gear out, using the technology, photographing this, seeing this come to life on the screen, is an amazing thing. And it's what we do it for. So I think, as far as photography is concerned, I think things like workshops are going to be really useful. And for me, vlogging and teaching people that there's a lot of enjoyment to be had through photography is a really important thing. Whether that's because I'm speaking at a camera club, talking to people, or indeed sharing these vlogs with you. So unusually for me, I'm using the X-T4 today. It's got, I've got my telephoto zoom and I haven't got a telephoto for the GFX. I mean, I could go and walk on the beach actually, but don't even really need to with this. And it's a very, very simple composition. I'm just going to focus up on the lighthouse to make sure that it's dead sharp. I'm getting a 40th of a second at f16. So that's not going to be slow enough to blur the water, but I want this to be very minimalist. So what I'm going to do is get my Lee filter app out and then have a look. Well, I'm going to need a little stopper or the 16 stop neutral density on the front. Just give me a long enough shutter speed. Then we're going to shoot it. And then we're going to shoot it again. And then I will show you the finished print at the end of it. I've shot this quite a few times actually. I've been here at sunrise and I produced this, which is one of my favourite prints ever actually. I've got a few copies of that are floating about, people have kindly bought off me. Absolutely beautiful before dawn picture. Actually, a while ago, I had another channel, YouTube channel, which I used to vlog on, but I didn't do many. But this bit of footage comes from there, and I was doing a how to do long exposure for a video. So if you get, I don't need to check them out really, because they're not the best. But so this is a scene that I've been to quite a few times, and it's a really, as I said before, a really easy one to get to and to photograph. But I didn't feel like I needed to be here before sunrise today because the weather forecast was pretty grim. I mean, it's pretty grey and it wouldn't have made any difference really at all. I just needed a kind of a medium tide, because otherwise the lighthouse ends up out of the water. Before the tide goes out then, let's get this. Okay, so according to the app, I'm going to need the 16 stop. I needed the big stopper really, but I haven't got one. So just also want to apologise to one of my subscribers, Carl, who said to me, Dave, you don't need to cover the eyepiece when you're using a mirrorless camera. I went, no, Carl, no, sorry mate, you're wrong. But Carl, you're dead right. You are dead right, and I apologise for doubting you. And Carl also said that my filters looked a bit dirty. I don't think they were too bad, I think it was just the light, but I cleaned these yesterday anyway, just to make sure. So I'm going to give it a really, really good clean, and then we're just going to fix it. Now I haven't got, unbelievably, I haven't got the filter on me to hold the the filter ring to hold the filter holder to hold the filter with me today. I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to shoot this by hand holding it. So we're going to go for a, well, you've seen the exposure on the Lee app. So let's get that focused up and let's get that done. So as ever, Lee filter holder. And if you can see that, it's got 3 kind of slots. So I'm going to put this filter in the first slot, like that. Oops, that's not quite in actually. Because I want to get it as close to the lens, because this filter's got some kind of baffle around the side of it. You can see that, some felt, which kind of just blocks out the light. Now I will still get light coming in the side, so I am going to need to do that. I'm going to hold this in place against the lens. The ring here actually should fit, but it doesn't. So I don't know what's gone wrong with the screw thread on this, but anyway, I'm going to make do, so it's not a problem. Right, let's shoot it now. So I'm using bulb. I'm going to hold the filter on the front, which is here. Okay, making sure that the light doesn't get in. And I'm using a remote release here. And what I can do with this is I can lock it by sliding it forward. So we're on bulb. I'm now going to lock that on. So I'll show you this picture now, convert it to black and white, see what you think. I'll also put on the back of this video the other photographs that I've shot from here over the past, and there's 1 or 2 of them. And yeah, really lovely location, really easy to get to, really easy to photograph. I'm not even on the beach here, so if you are wheelchair bound, you've got a tripod you can take with you, then you can do this easy. And you should. Because that is what life is all about, having fun. I'm going to be honest, that didn't work. All this stuff about innovating, but I think what was happening was I was just rocking the lens at the front. So I've come onto the beach. I mean, it's no big hardship, and I've got the GFX out, so just means I can get a little bit closer in. So that's worked in my favour in the end, because actually what I'm going to do, I've got a shot with the groins in, and actually some light now, so the clouds at the back are going to have a little bit of interest, which isn't too bad. So I'm going to choose a shot with the groins in and the lighthouse, and then we're going to do one just with the lighthouse, and then you can have a look and see which one you prefer. 1 minute to go on this exposure. Much easier when you've got your hands free. So I'm going to end it there. I don't want this video to be too kind of depressing. I mean, yes, it's sad that when we lose loved ones, and you know, no one really wants that to happen, but life goes on, you know, life's for living, and life's a wonderful thing in my opinion, and photography is a wonderful thing, and I really enjoy it, and if you do too, then what's stopping you? Get out there, you know, it doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's snowing, it's just a bright sunny day. Go and take some pictures. No one needs to see them. You don't have to put them on Instagram and get really depressed because they get no likes. Just go and do it. Photographs actually, I suppose in essence, are memories, aren't they? So I'm very lucky as a photographer to have taken loads of pictures of my little Archie, because those memories will live on. So until next week, thanks for tuning in. I think next week I'm going to be in the Lake District. Actually no, next week I'm going to be on the beach in Overstrand giving you some tips about composition. So I hope you can join me for that. In the meantime, share the video, like it, subscribe, all of that kind of lovely stuff that I need and appreciate. And from very peaceful, quiet Dovercourt, look after yourselves. Give the ones you love a hug, and I'll see you next time. Bye.